Intelligence in a man can be indicated by three features in his face: the forehead, the eyes, and most importantly, the nose. The nose is one of the most important central features in a face. The development of the nose shows signs of art, mechanism, literature, science, music, inventive and analytical abilities, the strength of the internal organs, and the vigor of the brain. The size of the nostrils is directly proportional to the size of the lungs and the heart. Bigger nostrils indicate bigger and stronger internal organs, which in turn supports the mind. Only when there is physical strength can a person act upon the activities of his mind. Otherwise, he would only be thinking much and actually doing nothing. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Aditi once again on InnerWorldRevealed, and in this vlog, we're going to talk about how you can read a person's character from his nose. So first of all, I present this diagram of the cartilages of the nose, and I'll be referring to these areas as I go on. This is the nasal bone, this is the lateral cartilage, this is the greater alar cartilage. The bridge of the nose is formed by the junction of the nasal bones and then the two lateral cartilages. The size and the shape of each cartilage varies from person to person. This part is all fat and muscles, and this also varies from person to person. This is the septum and is actually a longish cartilage which begins from below the nasal bones and is projected somewhere which is even with or below the wings of the nostrils. In my previous vlog on physiognomy, I talked about the three divisions of face, and we now know from it that the first division stands for domestic, moral and social qualities. The third division stands for logic, reason and intuitive qualities, and this is the second division where the nose falls, and this stands for artistic, mechanical, literary and analytical qualities of a person, and we would be now concentrating upon these qualities in further details. In most cases, either one or two divisions of the face dominate. People who are dominated by the forehead are definitely more on reason and logic and are capable of a lot of mental activities. But we should also consider the nose, because the nose is a very, very important factor. The length of the nose is indicative of how much cautious is the person. If the length of the nose is more, the person is more cautious. People with shorter noses are more ready to experiment and can appear to be bolder people and could be a bit rash with their words as well. By caution, I mean how much guarded and how much careful is the person about listening to what is the proven method and listening to others who would be advising them. Now, if the breadth of the nose is also more with the length, then that would mean further more caution. And more caution can come across as shyness or anxiety as well. Now, the next thing that we need to consider is the height of the tip of the nose from the plane of the face. Now, this is the picture of the very famous and loved Steve Jobs, and out here we can prominently notice the trait of caution and observation. Caution, we now know, is indicated by the long length of the nose. Observation is indicated by the good height of the tip of the nose from above the plane of the face, as we can see, and also we can see that there is a terrific projection of the bones above the eye socket. The wings of the nostrils are not too muscular, and I'm soon going to be explaining that trait as well. And there are a lot of other signs in this face which I'm going to be talking about soon. If the nose has a straight outline, has definition, and the tip of the nose is a very well defined one, then that can mean that the person has very good taste, has sophistication, and a sense of beauty and balance. Now, if this kind of a nose is coming in combination with a very fine skin, then that can mean fineness of sensation. You see, the straightness of all the bones and muscles indicates straightforwardness of action. If the muscles and bones are curved, then the activities of that person would be curvilinear. And if it is crooked, if the outlines are crooked, then you have to be very careful in dealing with such a person. Now, if the straightness of the bones is coming in combination with the squareness of the body, then that would be a person with the highest degree of morality. The downward projection of the septum below the wings of the nostrils is an indicator of how hopeful and cheerful a person is. And in Bill Gates' face, we can clearly see this downward projection. This sign is indicative of a stronger liver. A healthy liver leads to the feeling of being hopeful about life. If the septum of the nose is projected even with the wings of the nostrils, then that is a clear indication of a weaker liver. And such a person could be prone to jealousy towards other people. We could be having temporary liver problems also, and that could also be reflected by lack of this clarity of skin and bad breath and all that. When the liver is stronger, the cheeks appear to be fuller and the body appears to be plumper and the person appears to be brighter. Now let us once again come to the tip of the nose. If your nose is a well-defined one and the tip is projecting downwards, mind it, we are talking about the tip and not the septum, then that is indicative of the capacity to imitate other people's voice, walks, gestures, appearances, and the capacity to improvise by observing other people. This trait is mostly seen in many actors and sometimes also artists. If the nostrils are broad and wide, which forms a highly arched side of the nose, which could be resembling the beak of the bird of prey, then this would be a sign of commercial capacity in a person. And if in combination with such a nose, the person also has a roundish, stocky and a shorter frame of the body, also say with a fuller forehead, the person would be even better with handling finances. Now you see, the traits of trying to accumulate and acquire things could also appear in a miser. Now the miser might also be having a nose like that, very fuller nostrils like that, muscular nostrils, but the miser wouldn't be having a very full body. The miser is going to be having very pinched lips and a very shrunken body. You see, all the money magnates have this one thing in common, which is the sign of acquisition or commercial capacity. And if the person also has bigger eyes with thicker upper eyelid and a bigger mouth, the trait of acquisition would be further more prominent in the character. Another very prominent sign in the nose, which we can see in all the world's most magnificent people, is this very round and fleshy tip of the nose. This sign signifies the magnificence of mind and character, the capacity to perceive grand and magnificent ideas. If the tip of the nose is pointed, then the person is going to come up with very commonplace ideas. But if the tip is very bulbous like this, the ideas are going to be grand. And this is a very common sign which you would find in all the noted inventors, composers, artists and creators. But you see, everything is good only if it is balanced by logic and reason, or at least caution. Without these qualities, everything would tend to go towards the negative end. The capacity to construct or being constructive can be judged by how fleshy is the middle part of your nose. More fleshy, more constructive ability. To be constructive, one needs to be flexible with his fingers, joints, etc. And bones are not flexible, muscles are. So a person who would be constructive would actually be muscle dominated, not bone dominated, and that would be reflected by the fleshy middle part of the nose. Now, if we come across a nose which has a very pronounced bridge, that is, if the height of the bridge of the nose from above the plane of the face is a lot, then that kind of a person is going to be a very domineering and a very courageous kind of a person. And the person would also be having a lot of executive abilities. The person with this sign would tend to be courageous and domineering. If the person also has large nostrils, big mouth, and bushy eyebrows with it, the person would tend to be furthermore domineering. Willpower is indicated by the fullness of the muscle at the root of the nose at its junction with the forehead. If this part of a person is dipping, the person would be lacking in willpower. But if this is full, like in this case, it implies extreme will. People with snub noses might seem to be missing out on these qualities because they do not have a pronounced bridge of the nose, but nature always compensates. It always substitutes some other quality for a missing quality. Say, for example, the person might be missing on willpower and courage, etc., but the person might be a very adaptable kind of a person. And we really do not need to worry about the natural and existing shape that we have, because everything that we have can actually be modified by training the mind and by diet and exercise, etc. So we really don't need to worry about. And as a matter of fact, everything, whatever it is, however it is, has a place in this world. Lightning and thunderstorm is useful. Birds and beasts of prey are useful. You see, even the most annoying creatures like mosquitoes, flies, and fleas have a place and function in this world. And I hope this log has been useful for you. If so, please do not shy away from hitting a thumbs up because that means a lot to me. You could also comment below or subscribe to the channel for more. For the time being, that's gonna be all for today. Thank you so much for watching.